Having looked at the continuity within the first 16 Bond films, I now bring things a bit more up to date with a look at the Brosnan films. GoldenEye marked the return of Bond after a 6-year hiatus. In this time, the Cold War had officially ended and Timothy Dalton had decided to step down from the role. With a few of the Moore and Dalton films having some involvement with Russia, it was clear the Cold War was something that made up the character of Bond. The producers worried about this too, wondering whether a Bond film would work in the 90s. This is why the film opens with a flashback to 9 years earlier, with Bond and 006 infiltrating a Russian base to link the new Bond, in the form of Pierce Brosnan, with the Bond films that came before. The opening titles then depict the end of the Soviet Union, bringing Bond right up to date. This is delivering a very early message that this is still the same Bond and he has history. To stress this point further, his trusty DB5 makes its first appearance since Thunderball. As for the MI6 staff, there's been quite a few changes. Most notably, Judi Dench has taken over the role of M, becoming the first female to do so. Moneypenny has turned into Samantha Bond. It could be argued that the title of Moneypenny is assigned to the secretary of M, who adopts that codename. However, Skyfall ruins this idea somewhat. Tanner makes a return for the first time since For Your Eyes Only, with the producers trying to make more of this regular book character than they have before. Q, on the other hand, is still the legendary Desmond Llewellyn, again helping to provide continuity between the older films and this new era of Bond. MI6 HQ itself has had an overhaul, with the series basing it within the CIS building at Vauxhall Cross, which opened in 1994. This means M's office is very much different to the one that came before, but Bond still refers to M's predecessor keeping cognac in the top drawer. Jack Wade gets introduced as Bond's CIA contact in this film. With all the confusion surrounding Felix Leiter's history, the filmmakers evidently decided on a new character instead. And, keeping with Bond tradition, he is played by Joe Don Baker, who previously played the villain Brad Whitaker 2 films earlier in The Living Daylights. However, unlike the switch Charles Gray made within 2 films or 4 years back in the 60s, Baker made his second appearance 8 years after his first due to the hiatus. Valentin Sukovsky makes his first appearance in the series as well, again providing Bond with a history and a link with the Cold War that came before. Tomorrow Never Dies retains most of the MI6 staff from the previous film. M, Q and Moneypenny are all present and correct, played by the same actors. Tanner does not feature this time around, with his role being replaced by Charles Robinson, who is credited as being Chief of Staff. This has always been Tanner's role within MI6, so it looks like he's been replaced. Interestingly, if you delve into the novelizations, Tanner is given the title of Senior Analyst in GoldenEye, and he features as Chief of Staff in Tomorrow Never Dies, with no mention given to Robinson at all. Jack Wade returns from GoldenEye as well, but in Bond tradition, he's a bit more over the top and annoying on his second appearance. This is the last that is heard of him, although the storylines to come don't really call for an American CIA agent. The DB5 also makes a very brief appearance. One thing also worth a mention is Bond's naval history, appearing in his naval uniform that both Connery and Moore have appeared in previously. For The World Is Not Enough, we see a full contingent of MI6 staff. M, Q, Moneypenny, Robinson and Tanner all make appearances, as well as a replacement for Q in the form of John Cleese. The role of M is the biggest and most important it's been up to this point. To clear up the Robinson and Tanner issue, the novelisation suggests that Tanner is Chief of Staff and Robinson is M's top advisor. However, the book history only introduces Robinson for the first time in The World Is Not Enough, so confusion about these characters persists in the film timeline. It makes sense for Robinson to be the Chief of Staff, based on his appearance in the last film, with Tanner being an advisor to M. There's also a lovely little Easter egg when MI6 relocates to Scotland, with a painting of Bernard Lee's M hanging on the wall. Whilst on this topic, across the films and novelisations, there's never a mention of Robert Brown's M, only of Sir Miles Meservey, suggesting that Robert Brown was intended to be a continuation of the same character that Bernard Lee portrayed. Also, the title of the film and a line of dialogue is a callback to Majesty's, where Bond finds out about his coat of arms and his family motto. Providing another link for the Brosnan films, Zukovsky appears for the second and last time, again helping Bond by giving him key information and even getting in on the action. At the very end, when R is tracking down Bond, there's a suggestion that the car picked up on the thermal scanner is the DB5 again, marking its fifth appearance and helping to support the idea that this is Bond's personal car, something that is backed up by the Craig films. 2002 marked the 40th anniversary as well as the 20th film of the series, so the filmmakers ensured there were several callbacks to the previous films, making it clear that this is still the same Bond as the one that appeared in Dr. No. Once again, MI6 features M, R, now named Q, Moneypenny and Robinson. Tanner doesn't feature again this time around. This is sadly the first film since Live and Let Die that doesn't feature the late Desmond Llewellyn. His last scene in the previous film acted as a fitting end to his character, but he had no intention to leave the series. He sadly died in a car accident in 1999. Easter eggs feature prominently in the scene with Q. Amongst others, we catch glimpses of the Crocodile Sub, Acrostar Jet, Gold Bars, Bagpipe Machine Gun, the magic climbing rope from Octopussy, the Snooper robot from A View to a Kill, some Q-branch dummies, Q's bag from License to Kill, the attaché case, the false bird snorkel, Rosa Kleb's shoe, the jetpack, Oddjob's bowler hat and Kara's cello. There are many more there than you initially think. I still think I've missed some, or simply can't recognise certain items, so let me know if you spot any others. Q also gives Bond a new watch, his 20th. This one scene therefore links Brosnan with all previous Bonds, apart from Lazenby. The film is packed full of other references and Easter eggs for fans, but they aren't strictly things that deal with continuity, providing homage to past events instead. All in all, the Brosnan era does a very good job of updating Bond for the 90s, while still providing enough callbacks to the earlier films to show they are interlinked, and that this is the same character despite the continually changing lead actor. I think I've unearthed enough things to disprove the whole 007 is only a codename theory. However, in my next video, I'll detail a dramatic change that will muck up the whole continuity of the series, however thin it may have been already, when a certain Mr. Craig steps into the role.